Monthly wrap time! It is time for me to talk all the books that I read in the month of October. Let's begin as we always do by putting the monthly stats up on the screen. So, for the month of October, I read a total of 7 books comprising of 5 cozy mysteries and 2 fantasies. To my age groups, I read 1 YA, 5 adult books, and 1 middle grade. So yay, all across the age range spectrum, which is excellent. To my lengths, I read a tome. I am in shock that I read a tome because it's been a while since I've read a 500 pages plus book. But I read 1 tome, 4 half tomes, and 2 novellas, totaling 2,073 pages, which is a record compared to last month, which is really, really good. To my star ratings, and I have 2 5 stars, 4 4 stars, and 1 2 star. Alright, let's begin. The first book that I read in the month of October, let's put it up on the screen, was this book, 15 Minutes of Flame by Kristen Brecker. This is an adult cozy mystery book, and I gave this book 2 stars. So the basic premise of this book is, well, it's the final book, book number 3 in the Nantucket Candlemaker mystery series, and we continue to follow Stella. And in this one, Stella ends up finding a skeleton, and so that leads to an investigation, which leads us to a well. And while some people have gone down in the well to investigate certain things about the skeleton, one of those crew members end up dying, and so that opens up a mystery there. I was severely let down by this book and ultimately let down by the series. The mystery side just did not intrigue me at all. I gotta be honest with you all, because otherwise what is the point of my channel and saying I'm gonna be transparent? The mystery side I just found to be completely boring. The cozy side felt like it was there because it had to be. Like, I don't know, it read to me more like, okay, I gotta put a cozy side in here, so here it is. And yeah, this series just let me down. Yeah, it just kept going down, down, down. I gave book 1 4 stars, book 2 3 stars, and book 3 2 stars. So, you know, it just, yeah, I really do wish that Murder's No Vote of Confidence was a standalone, because it was a 4-star book for me. I loved it so much, but the rest of the series just did not work for me. But I've now completed that series and crossed it off my SAS list. So now let's take a look at the next book that I read. So the next book that I read was this book, which is The Maze of the Beast by Emily Rodda. This is book number 6 in the Del Toro Quest mystery series. It is a middle grade fantasy series, and I gave this book 4 stars. So there's not a lot I can say, because everything I say about this book is going to spoil everything that came beforehand. But the basic premise of the series is that we have a prince by the name of Leith who is on a quest to recover 7 hidden gems, and so in this one we were looking for the 6th one. And yeah, I enjoyed it. We came across a couple of different things which were intriguing. A resistance to, the world has become kind of like a dystopian type of world, despite it being a fantasy series. So we've come across a resistance. We came across pirates. We came across a big monster. We come across one big monster in every book, and in this one the monster is located in a maze, hence why it's called The Maze of the Beast, and I love mazes. Yeah, look, I'm loving this series so much. I think most, if not all, of the books I've given 4 stars to. I've got 2 books left to go, and I'm reading them next month in November to cross up this series. But it's been a solid series. For a middle grade fantasy, they're all novellas. I highly recommend them. The next book that I read was this book, which was Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel by A.W. Jantha. This is a YA fantasy, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. So this book is exactly what it sounds like. It is Hocus Pocus, the famous film, as well as its all-new sequel. Now, interestingly enough, recently, the all-new film sequel did come out. However, while Hocus Pocus, so this book is split into those 2 parts. So you have the Hocus Pocus, the original, and then the all-new sequel. While Hocus Pocus, part 1 of this book, is exactly the same as the first film, Part 2, the all-new sequel, couldn't be any more different to the film's sequel. And I really appreciated this because I did not like the film sequel. I won't give away spoilers. I'll just say that it felt incredibly uncharacteristic. We have moments with the witches that we get to know, especially with Winifred Sanderson, I have to think there what her surname is, that just seemed incredibly uncharacteristic. But the second book, oh my gosh, so good. I don't know why. The book came first, for part 2. The book came first as opposed to the film. I don't know why the film people didn't just do this second book, this sequel, because it was just so much better. I gave 4.5 stars. I deducted a 0.5 star rating because there was a very slow start to the sequel, but once the sequel got going, it was fantastic, but it still remained in my mind, and that's why I docked the 0.5. But it was fantastic. If you love the original Hocus Pocus, whether you love or don't love the second film, the sequel film, I highly recommend reading this. It was so good. Oh my gosh, I just had so much fun with it. The next book that I read was this book, which is Bread and Bewitching. This is book number 6 in the Spelford Cove mystery series by Samantha Silva. It's an adult cozy mystery, and I gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely love this series so much, and I am now practically up to date as far as the audiobook rule that I have is concerned. For those who don't know, I'm currently mainly listening on audiobooks to my books at the moment while I'm also crocheting a blanket, and the next book, which is Proof is in the Potion, is not out yet, so I have to wait for that one. But yeah, I love this series so much. So the basic premise of this one is that Emma, who is one of our protagonist's cousin, who is Robin, cousin, anyway, Emma teaches at an elementary school, and at that elementary school, one of her fellow teachers has died, and Emma is the prime suspect. So Robin and her other cousin Ella end up coming together to try and solve who committed the crime in order to assist Robin's cousin Emma. So I really enjoyed the mystery. I enjoyed the stakes. I think that definitely helped me as well because I have a lot of love for all 3 characters, so that definitely helped me. And yeah, on the paranormal side, which is the cozy side, the non-mystery side, something really big that we've been leading towards happens in this book. So there was just so many good things that occurred in this book that it got an overwhelming 5 stars from me. If you are someone who likes paranormal books or someone who likes cozy mysteries or both, I highly recommend this series. It is so good, and I cannot wait for the next one to be available on audiobook. 5 stars from me. The next book that I read was this book, Flipped for Murder by Maddie Day. This is book number 1 in the Country Store mystery series. It is an adult cozy mystery, and I gave this book 4 stars. With this one, it's not on my SAS list, but I wanted to find a cozy mystery that wasn't on my SAS list just to read something fun where there was no pressure on myself because I had no goal to read it in the first place, and this one certainly helped to do that for me. So in this book, we follow Robbie, who is our protagonist. Robbie has opened up her diner, and on the first day of opening, the mayor and her assistant end up coming along. Some people love the mayor, some people don't, but everyone seems to hate the assistant for some reason. The following morning, the assistant is found murdered with one of Robbie's famous biscuits in her mouth, so Robbie becomes the prime suspect and is going to do everything she can to try and find out who the real killer is to get her name off the suspect list so she doesn't end up going to prison. Okay, so, honest thoughts about this one. I thought it was an incredibly slow start. I read it a couple of weeks back, and then, got up to chapter 8 and ended up shelving it, re-picked it back up, and on the second time of reading, I had the same thoughts and feelings. The first 7 to 8 chapters, I just found to be really slow. But once that was done, the rest of the book, I really enjoyed because the pace started to pick up a lot more, and I really enjoyed the cozy as well as the mystery side of this book. So yeah, ended up giving it 4 stars. I thought it was a solid read. Don't know if I'll continue on with the series. Do you think I should? If so, let me know. But yeah, 4-star read, and I'm happy I read it. The next book that I read was this book, Courting Can Be Killer by Amanda Flower. This is book number 2 in the Amish Matchmaker series, and I gave this book 4 stars. So in this one, we continue to follow Millie, who is an Amish woman, and Lois, her best friend, who is an Englisher. Millie is a matchmaker. I'm not seeing a lot of matchmaking stuff going on, but after the disappointment with that in book 1, ended up putting that aside and out of my head for book number 2, and ended up enjoying it. So in this one, at the beginning of the book, Millie ends up tracking down her nephew. He's not really her nephew, but this man has grown up knowing Millie and looks at her as an aunt type figure. And Millie is worried about his health because he's not looking the best these days. So she tracks him down and ends up finding out that he is working 4 jobs. 4 jobs! Are you kidding me? He literally will start at his first one, then go to the second one, then the third, then the fourth. The guy is a machine. He doesn't stop. No wonder he's not looking that healthy, the poor thing. So, his first job and fourth job are at the same venue. They're at the Amish flea market. He has a booth at the flea market where he sells items, and then at night he is the security guard. While on security guard watch one night, someone ends up lighting the flea market ablaze, and unfortunately this guy ends up dying in the fire. Police very quickly suspect that it was arson, and Millie, because of the emotional tie that she has to this guy, ends up with Lois trying to work out who the murderer is. I found this book to be really interesting. I was so emotionally invested in the mystery side because this guy seems to be very much loved by almost everyone in the community. There's one guy who doesn't like him for reasons I won't say because it's a spoiler, but aside from that one guy, everyone really seems to like him, and he just seems like a great guy. So I just felt horrible that he had died, when normally I'm just like, okay, well, no one really liked you anyway. You're now dead. We're trying to solve the crime. I mean, it's a fictional situation. In real life, I would be different. But, you know, but in this one, it's like, oh no, like, how could they kill him? And that, sadness turned to anger. Like, okay, now I'm determined. We are gonna solve this. He's gonna get justice. And, but yeah, it was fantastic and I really enjoyed it. I still say Lois carries the series more than Millie does, but I've grown to love Millie as a character. I ended up giving this book 4 stars because it was a slow beginning and the reveal was way too quick. It only lasted a couple of pages and then we were done, and I don't like that. I prefer for my cozy reveals to be a little bit longer, like so we know who the person is, and then let's have an actual scene or 2 take place, as opposed to just now we know who they are, but don't blink because otherwise they're already in handcuffs and being taken away, and I just don't like that. But I gave it 4 stars and I am looking forward to reading book number 3. And the final book that I read this month was this book, which is Peanut Butter Panic by Amanda Flower. This is book number 7 in the Amish Candy Shop series, and it is the most recent book to come out in that series, and I gave this book an overwhelming 5 stars. Okay, so I have to say that I don't think I've ever cried over a cozy mystery book before, but if ever there was a cozy mystery book that was going to get me extremely close to tears many times, it was this one. Oh my gosh, it was such an emotional read for so many reasons. Now let's talk about the premise. The premise of this one is that Margot, who is the events manager in Harvest, Ohio, is planning the Thanksgiving event, but she's really frazzled. Why? Because her mother is coming to town, and her mother is a perfectionist who never really liked Margot, according to Margot, so she's stressing out about this. Because of that, she's entrusted Bailey to take over and organize everything for Thanksgiving. Margot's mother eventually does arrive, and she's every bit as a perfectionist and extremely bluntly honest, let's just say, as Margot says. She's also arrived with a man who is probably about half, if not a quarter of her age, with her, and at the Thanksgiving event, she announces that the pair of them are going to be married. The next thing we know, the man ends up having an allergic reaction. He's allergic to peanuts, which we do find out a little earlier on. And from this allergic reaction, it ends up being fatal. He ends up dying. And so the mystery becomes who ended up giving him peanuts, because he is well aware of the fact that he has this allergy, and he's even spoken to Bailey about it, how careful he is. So there is no way that any sort of peanuts are going to be placed around him, because of how careful he is. He would make sure that wouldn't happen. So why has it happened this time and fatally led to his death? Okay, so the mystery side I was very intrigued by. The reveal was so good. Oh my gosh. I worked out who the killer was right before the reveal, because we had this little bit of information that came up. It was very subtly done, so it was well done. But in that moment, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's this person. And it was so good that it was that person. Oh my gosh. Amanda Flower, great job. But on the emotional side, which I just want to spend a moment discussing with you all. So, Bailey ends up having a moment towards the end of the book, which I just found to be incredibly emotional, in a good way, and it had me very close to tears. Bailey ends up having a chat with her boyfriend, Aiden, and that chat I found to be extremely emotional. And she also has a chat with her grandmother, and I found that to be extremely emotional. And I think the reason for this is because I've read this series over the course of this year, and I've really grown to love the world that is Amish Candy Shop. Not only the world, but I've become incredibly invested in all of the characters. I was even saying in a recent reading vlog, I've even become invested in Ruth Yoder, of all people, who is one of the nastiest people, who is just so bluntly transparent. She tells you exactly what she thinks. But I've become invested in everyone. So anytime something happens to anyone in this world, I feel so protective of them, and so, as I say, emotionally invested, that I think that's why I had such an emotional reaction anyway. And now I need to wait until May of next year for the next one. So, but at least I get to celebrate my birthday month with the next read, which is Blueberry Blunder. I'm really looking forward to that one. But those are the 7 books that I read in the month of October. I am going to continue on and quickly discuss my goals that I had for crocheting and TV shows. So if you want to stick around for that, please do. If not, totally understand. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Happy reading. But for those of you sticking around, let's jump into the rest of my month. Okay, so let's talk crocheting first. I had the goal by the 31st of October to complete all squares and attach that row for and complete row 3 for my new blanket. And I actually ended up completing the first 4 rows, funny enough. So I'm going to go back a bit so you can see it. No, I completed 3. That's odd. Oh no, I have my 4th. One moment. Okay, this is my 4th row. I just haven't attached it yet, but I will be doing that today. But yeah, it goes this way. And then I'll attach this row underneath that. So yeah, I've done 4 rows, which is excellent. And next month I plan to get the next 4 done. So I'll be up to row 8 of 13, which is good. Maybe complete around Christmas, New Year's time, which is awesome. Let's talk TV shows. I'm not where I want to be, but I could be. Today is the 30th, so I do still have time. But right now I'm not exactly completely up to date. I am 2 episodes behind on Shark Tank, so I'm hoping to catch up on that. I'm also 2 episodes behind on Survivor and Amazing Race. But I am completely up to date with Handmaid's Tale, and that's because I'm so completely invested in this show right now. It is just getting better and better and better as the season goes on. So I'm up to date with that one. I have watched the first 14 episodes of American Dad, so I'm happy about that. And I'm waiting for Disney Plus Australia to catch up with the latest season of Simpsons, because I've seen the first 3 episodes and I just checked last night and they currently have just the first 3. So as of next week, I can continue on with that. So I'm a bit behind there, and I'm completely behind on Bob's Burgers as well, but that is what it is. So yeah, there you go. That's the update for this month. But how did your month of October go? Let me know in the comments section below. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it, letting you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you again soon. Mwah! Please do be kind and love one another, and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading! Bye, everyone!